Hello, everyone. Scotty White of World Combat Sports. Welcome today. Hopefully, everybody's doing great. Today's topic is going to be an interesting one. Definitely on the media waves across the board. It's going to be on Devin Haney. But first and foremost, I want to salute all the supporters of World Combat Sports. Please share the content. I'm not just saying it just for intro and everything. Really, in order to grow the channel, the content needs to grow, and I truly appreciate it. And make sure you hit that thumbs up button once you're in the building. And if you choose to donate to the channel, that's appreciated too. Perky's in the building. Salute to you, Miguel Sanchez. I remember yesterday, Perky timed you out. So hopefully you're not put on timeout today. You know what I'm saying? Devin Haney. I want for anyone who's tuning in to this live, I really want to touch on this topic because it's a sensitive one now. Being that we still live in a society where racism exists, right? And we also live in a society where there are certain communication process that goes on between, I would say, my people, black people, right, and other races. All right. So therefore, Devin Haney came out and he was on another media outlet. He basically said, "I will never lose to a white boy." Now, a lot of people are feeling some type of way about it. And of course, boxing has a lot of black fighters. It goes without saying. Boxing has a lot of black fighters and Hispanic fighters and neighboring fighters, European fighters. Not a lot like you do Mexican and blacks and other ethnicities, but I'm just saying it's been like that for quite some time. But anyway, Devin Haney words was his alone. Okay. We haven't really had a variety of fighters just say that all the time. And when he initially said it, everybody reciprocated back to when Bernard Hopkins had made mention of it. All right. So what exactly happened? Bernard Hopkins almost, basically said the same thing. He went on to lose, in his words, a white boy. And then, Sergey and another fighter end up defeating Bernard Hopkins, which, you can consider them white too, right? So when it comes down at the end of the day, in such a an environment that we're currently on lockdown, and many people are just having the time of their lives running away with this because there's nothing else to do. Devin Haney, in my opinion, should have used better judgment. He should have basically used better judgment at this point in time, especially in the sport he's in, to know that Lomachenko is indeed a cash cow to a lot of people. Lomachenko is in a lot of ways a big name for some of these fighters would love to step across in the ring and compete against, period. That's Lomachenko. If he wasn't special, he wouldn't have been offered the franchise WBC belt if he wasn't special. And we're talking about a guy who never defended the lightweight title to begin with. He vacated. He vacated the title. He vacated, but yet he was promoted and upgraded to a franchise champion. Now, what does that say about Devin Haney? One or two things. Boxing has a lot of fighters who trash talk all the time. And you can say a fighter is this, that, and the other. He a bum. He ain't no good. He a can. You'll whoop his ass. He ain't never fought nobody in the sport. And you can go through his whole resume, body of work, and you can basically X him out and comparable to your own. I mean, it's been that way for quite some time. We heard fighters talk shit. But when you mention a white boy, right? When you paraphrase, parenthesize, anything you want to say, when you say a white boy, it is such a hornet's nest. It is such poor judgment. In this world that we live in right now, it is such poor judgment in a society that is very sensitive to the boy word. The reason why I'm saying that, because I have to caveat on the side of black people too. And listen to me, for those of you other media outlets that will get on there and say what you want to say about what I have to say, say it was, bullshit or whatever the case may be. I don't give a damn what you got to say. But when it comes down to a white boxer paraphrasing or reciprocating that of a black fighter, and then he says, ain't no black boy beating me, being that we was called boy for quite some time as grown men, all right? We don't like the word boy. And when you're a grown-ass man, we're talking about grown-ass man, let's say 15 years old. When you're old enough to make that decision where you want to be on your own in certain cases, right? I'm just giving 15, right? Even at 15, people don't want to be called a boy. So if Lomachenko would have turned around and been in a vehicle and said, I ain't never losing to no black boy. I ain't never losing to no black boy. The world would have been in a motherfucking Ferris wheel. It would have been a swarm of locusts on this bitch. It would have been racism, racism, racism. Oh my God, ban Lomachenko. Strip him of his WBC title. He should never box again. We want an apology. All the civil rights goddamn organizations would have been on social media. It would have been people you ain't never seen before. Look, Young Pharaoh would have came back and made a video. And we all know he can make some damn good videos, man. I ain't gonna lie. But shit, you would have brought Young Pharaoh up to the surface and put together a slideshow on Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? If Lomachenko would have uttered those words, I'd never be beat by a black boy, it would have been absolutely mayhem and chaos, y'all. Period. That's fact. Really don't care who disagrees with it. That's just my opinion. It's fact. Thomas Branson, what's good, man? Thomas Branson say, what up? Never losing to a black boy. Perky say, white, black don't matter. It's fighter that wins. Look at it this way. It's good to have, that understanding for yourself that it doesn't matter black or white, but it does matter. We still live in a racial insensitive type of society. Racism still exists, period. There's no way you're going to get me as a black man that's been in this society since birth that racism don't exist. Racism absolutely still exists. All right. Now, am I sitting up here saying that Devin Haney, what he said, being a black man, saying it was racist? I don't believe it was racist. And some of you may sit up here and say, well, how can you say that's not racist? Because we've heard that before. I've heard it before. I've heard it amongst my people. I've heard it before. It's just, if it's communication from person to person for blacks, and I can't speak for all blacks, right? Because of course you have blacks that jump on here and say, I never would have said that. Of course you wouldn't. But I'm saying in a summation that Devin Haney said it to be braggadocious. He said it to be poignant. Poignant mean getting straight to the point. He wanted to drive that arrow home for attention. He wanted to put the tip of the blade in there so people can start talking about it. We're in a shutdown, people. Nothing's going on with boxing. Now Devin Haney is all over social media. Why? Because he said what he had to say. I don't consider it as being racist. Now, is it disrespectful? Of course it's disrespectful, y'all. Of course it's disrespectful. Is it going to keep Bernard Hopkins from doing anything and be recognized as one of the greatest middleweights of all time? No, it's not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Even you look back at Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, what he said on the stage. He said something even more raw than Devin Haney did. You know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson said he F so-and-so and his white boy. Don't you think that's a bit more vulgar than what Devin Haney said? In a contact sport where trash talking goes on all the time. It's no way. I know a lot of people are going to run with it just so they can get attention on their posts. But I'm going to tell you, that shit ain't racist, man. Is it disrespectful? Absolutely. Now, say for instance, Lomachenko was the one who said it. Yes, because that's not a commonality of language that is used. People would have said Lomachenko saying that, it would have been absolutely racist. Why? Because the ties to black people, especially when it came down to civility, when you call them a boy, when you call them by their color, if you call them colored, it was considered and still is considered disrespectful. That's just history, y'all. That's just history. Seriously, that's just the way it is. That's just history and how we know it. Perkins said, what if a white fighter said he would never lose to a black boy? Should people have the same point of view? Same with Haney saying white boy. I mean, I think I just went over that, Perky. Basically, I'm telling you, if Lomachenko would have mentioned anything to that nature in that context, it would have been bloviated 20 times worse, 50 times worse. Really. He would have had so many black fighters that respect him get on social media and flip the script. They're not going to sit up here and say, well, Lomachenko was just saying what black fighters have pretty much said behind closed doors. They have said in sidebar conversations. You know, you would have had a lot of black fighters getting on social media saying, you know what, I don't disagree. I mean, I disagree with what Lomachenko was doing. Why would he get up here and say, you know, black boy? Why couldn't he just call him by his name? Why he had to put black in it? Why he had to call him a boy? We as black people need to understand that. We understand it internally to our own conversations, okay? And it's not somebody we hate. It's not saying, oh, that white boy, and it's somebody we hate. But if you hear it from a white person, a European, and they describe you as that, it's going to sound elevated. It's going to be 50 times more offensive than you ever could imagine, because people will take it as racism. Now they're trying to say it is racism with Devin Haney, but I'm just telling you, in my opinion, he wasn't trying to be racist. He was trying to be a trash talker. He was trying to be disrespectful. He was trying to get his name out there so people can talk about him. And that's exactly what it is. I'm actually on here talking about him. I'm actually on here talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Devin Haney should have used better judgment in bringing that out on camera. I think it was just poor judgment on his part, man. Real talk. And is it going to affect him? You damn right it's going to affect him. It's going to affect him because it was clear. It's no boxing. You have so many people that's tuned in to social media. Nothing's going on. Of course. Of course. You know, something's going to happen sooner or later. I'm not saying no punishment or anything, but I'm talking about the backlash she's going to receive from the boxing fans. That's who's going to hold Devin Haney to the fire. And really, when it comes down to it, when you're Devin Haney, you got money, you're in the sport of boxing, it has no morals or principles. It's not one of these ethical sports that you get into just because you want to change yourself around and be a role model. No, they're not going to suspend Devin Haney. They shouldn't do it. There's no need for that. It's not like you look at Billy Joe Sanders and he's talking about smacking a woman, and he's a professional fighter, and he's a 2-division champion. That comment, in my opinion, not to vilipend it, but it holds less weight than talking about abusing somebody, because he didn't mean it in a racist way. That's just my OP. And I was hoping to have Devin Haney on here, but I I didn't get a response back because I definitely wanted to have a dialogue with him and kind of talk to the boxing fans. But you know how it is, man. You know, fighters are who they are, and they'll get around to you when they get around to you. It's all good. Ryan Clark, what's good? What's good? He said, Peace King 100. Thanks for dropping in, man. Thomas Branson said, what's good? Okay. Doesn't matter black or white. Facts. Ryan Clark said, especially if he fights Loma, he definitely better win in dominant fashion. If it's close, they may rob him and rob him, never know. Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, anything can happen in the sport of boxing to the point where subliminally, just like Ryan mentioned, if he ever fights Lomachenko and it's a close fight and Lomachenko has the more popularity, his name has more stock to the boxing Wall Street, then it comes down to him possibly being screwed over by the judges just because of the comment he made. Now, I'm not saying, you know, you're not going to hear comments like this is disrespectful to other races. Like you might hear a black person, you know, just like Adrian Broner said, Africans, Mexicans, Caucasians, they all can get it. People really didn't take too much offense to what Adrian Broner said because he mentioned the can attached to damn near everybody. Like he didn't just separate. He just didn't single out Caucasians. He said Africans, Mexicans can get it. But in this particular case, people are running with it because he described white, a white boy. Boy, in a sense, is a lower class than an actual matured adult. When you're calling a grown man boy, which look, Lomachenko is 32 years old, I believe. And even with that said, if somebody was to walk up to Devin Haney and say, what's going on, black boy? I mean, come on, man. And the camera's rolling. It's gonna be offensive. And Devin Haney may indeed do something about it. He said, what the fuck you talking about? You know, calling a black man boy is basically abreast and very close to just straight up call him a nigger. Seriously. If you call a black man a nigger and call him a boy, damn near that sentiment, if it's coming from somebody that's Caucasian, they're going to take offense and say, why are you doing that? If they don't know you, they're going to say, why are you calling me a boy? They're going to take offense to it. Just like you called them the N-word, they're going to take offense to it. That's point blank period, man. That's the truth. That's facts. Most of the time, they're going to take offense to it. You're going to get some response that you was looking for. You walk up to a grown ass black man and say, boy, you're going to get the reaction. You're going to get the smoke you're looking for. There's no sugarcoating that shit. Michelle, how you doing? Salute. Like I said, Michelle, thanks for tuning in. You think his comments will affect the decision of the fight? To answer Michelle's question, and appreciate the question, I see it like this, like I just mentioned. I'm not sure where Devin Haney mind was, what would bring him to the doorstep to put that out on social media with the media segue he was interviewing. I don't know why all of a sudden, knowing that he's nowhere close to a fight, Lomachenko is close to fighting Teofimo Lopez. Okay, we're currently in a lockdown, right, Michelle? So look at it this way. What does a fighter need? What does fighters need in boxing to stay relevant? They need somebody to talk about them. They need somebody to say something about them. And I think Devin Haney took the most aggressive approach. And the tongue is a sword to life and death. And Devin Haney decided to speak and allow the fire to be lit so everybody else can talk about it. And his names are all over social media, and that's what he wanted. He wanted that attention while we in lockdown. And who did he say it in reference to? Of course, one of boxing's favorite, Vasily Lomachenko. high tech. He's getting the reaction that he wanted. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, people. Devin Haney is getting the reaction that he wanted. But I'm going to tell you, you say that shit to a black fighter. You have a white fighter to get on social media and say he'll never lose to a black boy. A black boy is freaking Armageddon. Seriously, it's Armageddon. It's mayhem, it's chaos, it's everything. My people don't get on here talking crazy. You know it's true. If Lomachenko, one of the top pound for pound, the lovable guy everybody wants to embrace. Some fighters live vicariously through Vasily because of his style and everything, and they want to pick up some of his traits. I get it. But I'm telling you, if Lomachenko would have got on here and said the same thing, and just say, for instance, Lomachenko has some other fighters around him, his good friend Alexander Usyk. Just say he had a couple of trainers around, and they sitting around, they say, hey, Lomachenko, you know, what do you think about the lightweight division? Who do you see as somebody you want to face in the division? And he said, well, I will tell you this. It's no way I'll never lose to a black boy. Now, being that the lightweight division has a lot of blacks up there, Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of freaking blacks that can be associated. Even Richard Comey that lost to Teofimo, right? It can be a lot of people that can be associated in the lightweight division and other divisions, because that would have corralled damn near every black fighter in boxing to unify, just like Voltron. And they would have got on social media and say, this is what we don't need in boxing. We knew all along. We knew Vasily Lomachenko was racist. We felt it. You know what I'm saying? We felt Lomachenko was racist. It would have hit higher levels than you ever could imagine. The elevation of that topic, boy. Forget about the black and the white. But the attachment, boy. You think you know you're not gonna have some white people out here be offended by that shit? Even though with blacks, it may be something that's kicked around in sidebar conversations in private. That white boy this, that white boy that. But do you not understand if a white fighter, an announcer, anybody that has a prominent position in sports, period, even if you pretty much would have had Max Kellerman, somebody who's been in the game for quite some time and well respected, right? When it comes to a lot, I mean, I'm talking about he's considered like a polymath when it comes to sports that he report on, especially boxing, right? Could you imagine Max Kellerman being off and somebody recorded him saying, you know what? I don't see Tyson Fury losing to a black boy. I don't see Tyson Fury losing to a black boy. Could you imagine Max Kellerman saying that shit and somebody call it on audio? Fired. Gone. Max Kellerman out the door. All the time he's put in and worked himself up, he's gone. Period. Point blank. Thomas Brown said 100% trying to hype the fight. They know what the fight is making, is in the making soon. It ain't in the making soon, Clark. It ain't, bro. It ain't. I mean, I know a lot of people can talk about it, but Devin Haney and Lomachenko, if you're talking about soon, we might be looking at what, middle of 2021, something like that. I don't see it too much, man. I just don't see it as much, because if you're looking at who Vasily Lomachenko picked up the titles from and who has the titles now, you know what I'm saying? He has Teofimo Lopez to deal with and whatever Devin Haney got going on. But if you watched my interview yesterday, David McWaters, who managed Teofimo Lopez, he said his declaration, he mentioned that he believes the WBC belt will be included in the unification bout if Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko fight. And what does that tell you? What does that tell you? When will Devin Haney and Lomachenko fight? It's nowhere in the foreseeable future, to be honest. Michelle said, yep. Ryan said, Michelle Butcher, peace queen. Michelle, shit hits the fan. Perky, everyone hits the thumb up. Appreciate that, Perky. Michelle say Haney and Stevenson are top dogs. Haney and Stevenson are top young lions that's on the hunt. Just like Teofimo Lopez, especially Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson is a beast. Shakur Stevenson is looking to make a name for himself in many divisions. You know what I'm saying? Many divisions. You can just see he's hungry. He's salivating at the right opportunity to start, taking the elevator up and jumping in these divisions and winning titles. And plus his skill set says a lot. Also you can't forget Joshua Greer, who's down there bantamweight. He's also on the hunt. He's doing big things in boxing. So, you got these young lions that's coming up. Even Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is what, 25 right now? Negate his outside, actions. He's still a 3-time champion. He still haven't really made a dent in the lightweight division. Exile Gamboa, he already beat him. Who's next? It's so many people out there that can be the next opponent to sell those tickets. And never forget, Gervonta Davis is on the Mayweather Promotions. So he's going to get some good fights. He's going to be selectively matched up with individuals. Their whole intent is to make Gervonta Davis the biggest star in boxing. That is their intent. That is their intent, period. Period. So until Shakur Stevenson get on the move, it's going to be interesting. Not to mention Gary Russell. Gary Russell Jr. is still much. He's an older fighter, but it'd be good to see him move up to the 135-pound division and start making some noise. Michelle, 2022. Yeah, it's possible. Lomachenko and Haney, it's possible. But the only thing about that, if it's 2022, Vasily Lomachenko will be close to 35 years old then. And with all the amateur fights, I tell people all the time, he was the one in the ring fighting. Vasily Lomachenko has put a lot of wear and tear on his body. So like they say in dog years, in boxing years, Vasily is probably the same age as Floyd Mayweather. I'm telling you, Vasily Lomachenko had a lot of amateur fights, y'all. He stayed in the Olympics to pick up 2 gold medals. That's wear and tear on your body. So when people looking at you as a point of reference, a bookmark in your career where you just start turning the page to a different chapter and you're supposed to be excelling, but yet you're not as looking as impressive than they are expecting you to, then people got to understand the man had an extensive amateur career. That's rubber off the tread. Michelle said, I got Stevenson over Lopez. Damn. Shit, he got Stevenson over Lopez. That's a tough one right there. I can't go against Teal right now. Nah, I can't do it. Even though they're entirely 2 different weight classes. But I really wanted to touch bases. Like, for those of you that's mad at Devin Haney, you will get over it. Am I saying that Devin Haney saying that particular phrase is right? Hell no. It's not. It's not right, but it's trash talking in boxing. It's trash talking. I don't read too deep into it because we've heard this shit before. We've heard Mike Tyson say some shit like that. We've heard several fighters say something. It doesn't make it right, but I'm just saying he's not going around here being a racist just all of a sudden during the pandemic. Devin Haney want to be a racist. Now, people may perceive his words as that, and it is different standards when it comes, period. Because, black people, we may use the nigga this, nigga that amongst each other, all right? But yet, it's not something that can be used against anybody else of a different race because of the origin behind it. All right. So therefore, when you look at him saying it and you weigh in the fact that if Vasily Lomachenko would have said it, yeah, of course it would have been different backlash. What Devin Haney is receiving is minuscule from what Lomachenko would have went through. Lomachenko would have went through some serious release. Fans that was embracing him, holding him up, supporting him, they would have absolutely said, hell no. This is not going on. This is not going to happen. We're not going to support him anymore. I know some black people don't want to hear that. They want to hear, oh, black people unite. We united, you know what I'm saying? But keeping it 100 from my perspective, I'm just saying that it's trash talking in boxing. And I'm not going to sit up here and make that point of reference that Devin Haney was being racist. You know what I'm saying? I believe he wanted the attention. He wanted it to be disrespectful, just like Bernard Hopkins said it to the fighter's face. That's the only difference. It was more disrespectful when Bernard Hopkins said it because of who he was saying it to at the time, face to face, man to man, eye to eye, and it was right there, and it was much more disrespectful. But then you get Devin Haney sitting in a vehicle, and you know he's talking, and he says that, yeah, it's fucked up to what people are going to portray it as. But me, I look at it as, you know, a part of trash talking in boxing. It's kind of fucked up to think that way. Some people's going to say, oh, that's fucked up. That was racist. It's not. He's not being a racist. He's not being a racist. Did he use poor judgment in his wording? Correct. He should never refer to say a white boy when us as black people, it's no way that we would ever accept that shit from anybody of a different race than our own, period. It can be a Mexican. A Mexican walk up here, Hispanic, Tino, whatever you want to say. You say, come here, black boy. I never lose to a black boy. Even a Mexican would get in trouble. Even a Mexican would take backlash for the same shit. Know that. Know that. It ain't nowhere around it, y'all. It's nowhere around it. So the only thing I'm telling Devin Haney, which he is, you know, 21, he's old enough to understand right from wrong, right? Just understand what sport you in and how easy it is for certain people to manipulate the outcome. Wherever that outcome is, you're supposed to get a certain match or you win in the match, people will manipulate. And then also, when it comes to trash talking and when you want to specify white boy, you're going to have to own that. You're going to have to prove that. Because whoever you in there with, and they're a white fighter, European fighter, whatever the case may be, you're going to have to make sure that you go in there and win. Because if you don't win on that night, they're going to definitely put it to paper, put it to print, and say, you know what? Let's bring back up that video. You remember when Devin Haney said he'll never? Look at this. It'll be so many memes out here on social media doing it before and after. If Devin Haney loses to a white fighter, people are going to run to the motherfucking hills, dog. They're going to plant that flag at the top, and they're going to get on a megaphone and start talking shit. They're going to be like, wasn't it Devin Haney who said that? Wasn't he the one that said he'll never lose to a white boy? Wasn't he saying that? And he went in there and got dropped. He went in there and lost. Yes, it will happen. But I see on social media already, I see some people saying that I never lose to a black boy. You know, they just saying it because it looks and sounds bad. It sounds worse than what he said. When you see it on social media, somebody put it in the comment section, people read that and all of a sudden they have to fall back. They have to say, Devin Haney said white boy, so I can't get mad because that person said black boy. You know what I'm saying? people are kind of sitting up here thinking to themselves, like, should I even react? Should I be mad? Because now this is public record. This is in conversation on social media. You have people voicing their opinions. You have people responding to these threads that's on Facebook and IG. And people are going to feel some type of way about it. Because if you just say you put a thumbnail up there and somebody put a picture in the background and say, I'll never lose to a black boy. At this point right now, people will still get upset. Oh, now you're being racist. It ain't no time limit of expiration on this shit. This is going to be around for a while because we ain't doing shit. No boxing is on deck, people. We have to come to an educated understanding. White boy sounds bad. It's offensive. But what's even more offensive? If someone said black boy to Devin Haney. They will be corralling all the black fighters. It will be a freaking staged union. It will be a full-blown IG session with people on live talking about, hey, what do you think about that? Do you think, this is something that he has been taught as a kid? People be saying, I didn't think for 1 second Lomachenko would be that type of guy. But did you hear the audio? Lomachenko and all them people that he's around, they was laughing and shit. Sponsors will be hesitant if they don't know any better. They'll call Lomachenko. Hey, Lomachenko, what's going on, man? What's up with the post? You planning on apologizing? Because, man, we getting a lot of phone calls. That's what his sponsor's going to say. We're getting a lot of phone calls, Lomachenko. Of course. I agree. It is a double standard, triple standard, however you want to look at it, But if I would have came on here and been absolutely on Devin Haney's side, I would have had motherfucking 50 people tuned into this shit. If I would have saying, you know what, he right. He ain't gonna never lose to a white boy. People be tuned in. But since I'm not a follower and I can think for myself, people are not gonna tune in because you're basically balancing the scales on both sides in your narrative. You're basically giving your opinion that's not ex parte to Devin Haney. And that's just my opinion. Moving on. Terrence Crawford did an article today. And shout out to Terrence Bud Crawford, man, WBO welterweight champion. He did an article, which was a great article. You know what I'm saying? Oh, matter of fact, before I get on that, Sean Porter did a live, which was shocking to me. Sean Porter came out and did a live. And, of course, whenever an elite fighter or a very well-known athlete get on live, according to who they are, especially when you're in a contact sport, it can be good and it can be bad. So Sean Porter, fans are asking him questions. He's reading. He's on his phone and he's reading. You know what I'm saying? So he's going off and people ask him who he believes the top welterweights or the pound for pound. They're asking him tough questions because you never know who account it is. So, of course, when they want to ask him about Crawford and him and Crawford are friends, they're going to say, well, do you want to fight Crawford? They're going to push and prod and try to get a reaction because you're on live, right? So, Sean Porter was giving very subtle answers. You know what I'm saying? You really can't run with what he was talking about. But Sean Porter, I respect him. He's a good dude. He's a damn good fighter. And he get labeled as being a square, but you don't see Sean Porter get in trouble. You don't see any of that. You don't see any of the miscellaneous bullshit. But anyway, he's on live, and fans start telling him, that's why you got dropped by Errol Spence. Man, they just start, saying some shit. And then, Sean Porter got to a point after answering some questions. It seemed like he got a little irritated. And he said, now I understand why a lot of fighters don't get on live because of the way y'all be acting. And he said, that's why I don't go over here and do live and all that. And I understand what he was saying. So shortly after that, Sean Porter shut down the live and he bounced. If I have enough time, I'm going to take you through the live. But I want to talk about Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford did an article with ESPN. Shout out to ESPN. And I like the title because I kind of get the impression about Terrence Crawford doing it his way and his way only. And the title is like Terrence Crawford wants the big fights, but won't sell his soul to get them. I repeat, Terrence Crawford wants the big fights, but won't sell his soul to get them. And what exactly does this mean, sell your soul? It's so many variations to selling your soul in this day and time, especially Terrence Crawford, having to be in the position he is, 3-division champion, a hot commodity. A lot can be said about what he means by selling his soul. Taking a different opponent, taking lower money, making a sacrifice which he doesn't believe he has to make. They say Terrence Crawford unleashes a smile as he hears another one of Errol Spence Jr. recent proclamations to watch him if the two best welterweights in the world finally face off in the ring. And then it goes on, give the records, all the fillers and stuff like that. And then Bud Crawford says this. He's entitled to feel that way, Crawford says about Spence comments. Just like when I called him up and told him I was going to beat his ass. I'm entitled to feel that way. But the only thing different between me and him is I mean it. Crawford said he mean it. He wants to do all his damage in the ring. He also go on and say, when that fight happens, everybody's going to see a different side of Terrence Crawford that they really haven't seen before. And they're going to see a different side of Errol Spence as well, because I'm going to make him look like an ordinary fighter. I repeat, that they really haven't seen before. And they are going to see a different side of Errol Spence as well, because I'm going to make him look like an ordinary fighter. That's deep. That's cutting right down to the core. That's deep. That's what I like about Terrence Crawford, man. He may not, fuck with the media a lot, but regardless of what you do know about Terrence Crawford, it's the simple fact that he's a 3-division champion, former undisputed. He can ball. What I mean by ball, he can go in the ring and get the job done. In boxing, you're supposed to face adversity. If you went through your career and no one never really touched you, I'm saying you've never been dropped, you've never been hurt. They're going to say, just like they say about Roy Jones, right? Before he was, stepping in there with Antonio Tarver, which many people consider too many times, right? They say, well, Roy Jones, we really can't give him his accolades because he never faced anybody that was equal or greater than his skill set. But then some people leave out the fact that how good Roy Jones was. Not to get off topic, but continuing with this article. Spence recently said on Instagram Live that he wants to fight Crawford or Pacquiao in September or October. Boxing fans have been calling for Spence Crawford for years. Crawford said that is the fight he has wanted since before he moved up to 147. Crawford said he'd been wanting Errol Spence since before he moved to 147. According to Crawford, it's not a hard fight to make, even though the decades-long rivalry between his promotion group, Top Rank, and Spence PVC has prevented many of the top fights from being booked. Most of the top welterweights are with manager Al Heyman PBC, which puts Crawford at a disadvantage as he looks to face the names everyone wants to see. But Crawford insists if the money is big enough, like it was with Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, then both sides will make the deal. And I totally agree, with Bud Crawford making that point. I totally agree with that. Solid points about Al Heyman being in possession of the top welterweights. I understand that. But what we were able to see against Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury was a co-promotion. And man, it worked out amazing. It worked out amazing. Seriously, that shit worked out amazing. Crawford goes on to say, it all comes down to the money. You know who's going to be the A side? Who's going to get the higher percentage? Crawford says. It goes on to say, Crawford believes he has proved more in boxing. Once again, Crawford believes he has proved more in boxing than Spence and deserves to be the A side. Yet, his lack of braggadocious bravado, something that has been a common staple in boxing since Muhammad Ali. People forget about Muhammad Ali, but he was one of the big trash talkers, all right? Is what some pundits claim prevents him from elevating his name to more fruitful level. They say if he added that to his persona, Spence Crawford would make both sides enough money that wouldn't matter who was the A side, which is true. Crawford goes on to say, when I get in the ring, I'm going to beat your ass. Let's just do that. When I say I'm going to fuck you up, I really mean I'm going to fuck you up. The article goes on to read, over the top trash talk has always sold fights. It's not that Crawford doesn't want the bigger profile and the money that comes with it. He does, but still, Crawford refuses to give in. He did all that in his younger days. And this is where it gets to the point of selling his soul, changing up for the fans, being a more outspoken trash talker. He said, and now he wants to be respected and loved outside the ring and feared inside of it. I have to repeat and underline that shit. He said he wants to be respected and loved outside of the ring, and feared inside of it. Crawford says, why should I have to sell my soul to please and entertain somebody that don't give a fuck about me? Say that one more again. Crawford say, why should I have to sell my soul to please and entertain somebody that don't give a fuck about me? That's real talk. You cannot sit up there and phrase it any more blatant than how Terrence Crawford feels about the entire masses that tune in and see him. You know, so that's why he really don't fuck with the media like that, because he's like, 1 minute, you believe they're genuine people, and then the next minute they're talking shit behind your back. And one thing I can say wholeheartedly, and not to get off subject, is the amount of times I asked Terrence Crawford for an interview when it was just me and him, mano a mano, one-on-one. And he didn't say shit to me. He didn't show no love. He didn't do shit. And then the day that he finally gave me an interview, he allowed me to have an interview by myself, even though there was other media around. You think I'm not gonna goddamn respect that shit? That's grown man shit. We ain't talking about somebody who was used to having platoons and having units and having troops underneath him. This is a person who's always with his family. He's always deep at the fights. You don't hear of him getting in trouble, doing dumb shit. But the reason why I have to bring this up is when I asked him at the Shakur Stevenson fight, I said, can I get an interview? He say, well, later. He kind of like later. So I was used to that already. That's what Crawford did. That's how he is. Later. All right. So I'm thinking it's the same thing. He's not going to do it. But then he said, all right, man, come get this interview. This was like hours later. And not only did he give me the interview, he basically told the other media, no, it's just him. I got to respect the shit out of that. Real talk. I do. I respect the shit out of that. That's grown man stuff, man. Even though I'm much older than Terrence Crawford, he didn't have to give me an interview. Fighters don't have to do shit for media. But the fact that he recognized it and he allowed it to play out the way it did and allowed me to basically have a one-on-one interview for the first time. And this is after seeing that man on the elevator, seeing him downstairs in the hotel lobby, seeing him outside with his peeps, seeing him in the hallway, all that shit. So, yeah. Anyway, back to the article. Terrence said, I'm about showing you rather than telling you. I'm about showing you rather than telling you. Crawford lists Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya as fighters who rose to the top of boxing without extra bravado, which is true. Because we know Oscar De La Hoya couldn't talk shit at all. And Manny Pacquiao, we didn't really want to hear him talk any shit. He said he would rather end up like them than other elite fighters who were hated as pros, such as Ali and Mike Tyson, and received positive reactions only after they retired. That's real talk, man. He dropping some nuggets, man. I ain't gonna lie. This is a damn good interview. You know, the type of shit I want. I mean, it's a damn good interview. And I will get a site to it, to the author of this interview, because it's only right. His name is Cameron Wolf. Shout out to Cameron Wolf. Outstanding article. ESPN. So the article goes on to read, say, Crawford is tired of hearing people tell him he can't market himself or that he needs to use his mouth to sell fights. Crawford said, when we get in the ring, I'm going to beat your ass. Let's just do that. When I say I'm going to fuck you up, I really mean I'm going to do it. I don't want to create fake beef so they can say we for real, then we at the bar drinking beers afterwards. That you ain't never lied about that shit. I don't have no other way. You know, people that's reading this to understand what he's saying, it's going to be many, but then you're going to have the other naysayers that's going to say, oh, that's fucked up. But he's talking some grown man shit here. Seriously. He's talking some grown man shit. He say, I don't want to create fake beef so they can say for real, we for real. Then we at the bar drinking beers together afterwards. Crawford understands the biggest knock on him is the lack of marquee names. He has fought. His biggest name wins so far, Amir Khan, Jeff Horn, and Yurkis Gamboa. Leave much to be desired, right? He claims it's a product of fighters saying no to his challenges. Then he delivers his next two challenges, Pacquiao and Spence, in that order. So he's telling us right now he would want to face the WBA super champion, the one who defeated Keith Thurman, and Manny Pacquiao, the 8th division champion. That will look good on Crawford's resume. You know, but will he be a winner? Will he be an overall winner? That's saying if he go in there and defeat Manny Pacquiao, are people going to look at him as being Crawford and say, you know, he was old as shit anyway. He was old as dirt anyway, man. Are they going to say the same thing that they used to say about Luis Ortiz every time Deontay Wilder fought him? That, you know, he's 40, he's 55, he's 60. You know what I'm saying? Are they going to do that if Crawford beat Pacquiao? And then the next one, of course, is Spence. If we're talking about Terrence Crawford being the WBO and the WBA title holder, going in there for unification against Errol Spence, who's the WBC and IBF, it will sell tickets. It will be a marquee fight. It will be epic. People will fill the seats. And we can't wait till that happen. But we have no idea. We don't know where it's at in the cloud, man. Terrence goes on to say, I'll say Pacquiao first because, you know, we don't have much longer in the sport. He don't have much longer in the sport. And I want that name on my resume. And Spence, because, you know, that's the fight that everybody want to see. That's true words. That's true words, man. The article goes on to read, and it's about to close. It says Crawford doesn't yet know when his next fight will be, but he's trained as if he's preparing for the next one. He says the coronavirus pandemic hasn't impacted his day-to-day routine at all, noting he and his kids still leave the house as normal. He says he goes to the boxing gym daily to stay in fight shape. His focus is still on being the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. See, Crawford already has the welterweight division mapped out. He rattles off his top 5 without any hesitation. Himself, look, we're talking about the top 5. with no hesitation. Himself, Spence, Pacquiao, Danny Garcia, and Sean Porter in that order. Then proceeds to break them down one by one, which I'm not going to go in detail for paragraph to paragraph, but I'm just going to read the first line, what he said about Spence. He said, when you look at the matchup between me and Spence, you got two strong fighters. He's strong. He punches hard. I punch hard. I got ring IQ. He got ring IQ. But I think what separates us two is I'm faster, I'm smarter, I'm slicker. I'm just going to leave it like that, people. On to Pacquiao. He give him his props, his accolades and everything. And let me see what the part I wanted to mention. Yeah, I've been trying to fight Pacquiao since 2015. That's what I want to mention. Terrence Crawford said he's been trying to face Manny Pacquiao since 2015. Back when I was trying to fight them, they wouldn't fight me. That's the quotes I want to take from Manny Pacquiao. Danny Garcia, he give props of being a very good fighter, 2 counter punchers, and say got a little history behind that. You know what I'm saying? He said, but anything Danny can do, I can do as well. Hey, Don Dowder, salute to you, man. Thanks for dropping in. Lawrence Williams, what's good? Thanks for dropping in. And then, of course, Porter, he said everybody thought Errol was just going to sit there and whitewash him and knock him out. And I was like, y'all crazy. I've seen Sean rise to the occasion so many times, time after time after time in the amateurs. And he was fighting. And this is true words. Sean Porter was fighting at 165. And he was the smallest 165 pounder out there. So to see him beat guys like Danny Garcia, Daniel Garcia, it was like, you know, unheard of. I always knew Sean Porter was going to be tough fight for anybody. He speaks of the 2 boxers not on Crawford's top 5 are Keith Thurman and Kell Brook. We can understand that. He said 32, Crawford isn't changing his ways. He remained a hard-punching, slick, smart champion from Omaha, Nebraska without the extra talk. He's eager to put a few more big names fighters on his record and cement his spot as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Ultimately, Crawford wants to be remembered as a boxing legend. But before you ask, no, he won't sell his soul to do any of that. And once again, out of respect for this superb article, you got to give a shout out to Cameron Wolf, ESPN staff writer. Superb write-up. Oh, okay. Yeah, Don Dowder said Porter beat Alexander Usyk. That is a fact. Nice piece of fact. Nice piece of factoid, you know, right there. You are correct. Lawrence say Bud resume at 47 is good. If you really do your research on his opponents. And doing research for just a casual fan, it won't be as in-depth as what you're talking about, Lawrence. But I totally get what you're saying. Yes, you have to look. I never really I never really seen a fighter where people dilute the accolades so easily. Like I've been in boxing conversations and brought Terrence Crawford, you know, just like his body of work, right? And people would say, well, what has he done at welterweight? Listen to me, people. Comparing him and Errol Spence, just like he mentioned, he's done more in boxing. Come on now. I mean, stop being facetious about it. Like, you know damn well Bud Crawford has done more in boxing than Errol Spence. And like we all mentioned before, Errol Spence started off at 154, and then in his 4th fight, he dropped down to 147. Not until he faced Kell Brook, he picked up his first world title. And then as of recent, he stepped in there with, respectively, Sean Porter, another 2-time champion. And he was able to defeat Sean Porter in a tough fight. And just like Sean Porter said today on his live, say, You take the knockdown away, I was on his ass. And he's right. Sean Porter put on a damn good performance. You cannot, no way, shape, or form, knock Sean Porter for showing up and performing less than what we expected him to be. And not only that, y'all, Sean Porter showed us that he can go in there and fight Danny Garcia one way and go in there and fight Errol Spence a totally different way. Y'all have to respect that shit, man. Y'all can't sit up here and say, well, Sean Porter lost because he got dropped in the 11th round. That was a tough-ass fight between two elite fighters in the sport of boxing, period. That's all I'm saying, man. Y'all can boost Errol Spence up. I got it. But if you're going to knock him and he came up to welterweight and fought Jeff Horn and he stopped Jeff Horn, who defeated Manny Pacquiao, how you going to say Jeff Horn wasn't shit? But yet he defeated Manny Pacquiao, and then he is the WBO champion, and Crawford faces him on his first lineup. First in the lineup when he comes to welterweight. Big, strong Aussie, grinder. Terrence Crawford stops him. Now, after that, yeah, the marquee names is kind of tardy. Real talk. We can't really say that Joseph Benavidez was a bum. No. Joseph Benavidez with one leg could fight. Okay. I like that matchup. I like what went on in the ring. Seriously. But Crawford finished him in the 12th round. He finished him. Seriously, y'all. Y'all got to give the man credit. He finished the man, y'all. And we're not even going to talk about Amir Khan, but I got to. He was giving Amir Khan all the motherfucking charcoal. The shit was glowing red, and he was goddamn tossing that shit on Amir Khan. It was hot that night. And Amir Khan chose to goddamn bail out that bitch. I was there. I was watching the fight. Crawford was giving Amir Khan an inferno. He had motherfucking Amir Khan boxing in a sauna. Amir Khan quit. He didn't even want to turn around and face Crawford. After he knew that blow was on his thigh, he didn't want to turn around and acknowledge the fact, okay, ref, I'm good. No, he just stayed looking out to the crowd, and he wanted a way out, and he got it. He got it, people. And then he goes on after that fight to supposedly win this other title that was out there. No one's thinking about that other title Amir Khan won. They're thinking about him quitting against Terrence Crawford. Then you want to take a look at the fight against Kavaliauskas, Mean Machine, right? And people say, oh, he got dropped. But what did he do after that? This is comeback sports. This is a sport of boxing at the highest level. He dog walked that dude. He did shit that you see in the street. No more technical boxing skills. Terrence Crawford was like, nah, motherfucker, you about to get every bit of what I told you I was about. Seriously. He didn't goddamn do the Joshua shit and play it and goddamn dance around on the outside and bounce off the ropes and damn use, saying, okay, I'm ahead in the fight. I'm just going to chill, throw a jab every now and then, switch from orthodox to southpaw. Nah, he went in there and put the brakes on Mean Machine. He said, motherfucker, if anybody got an attitude right now, it's me. That's just about what Crawford said. You ain't mean tonight, motherfucker. You might be a little bit upset because of what I'm doing to you right now, but you ain't fucking mean. Don Dollar said, if Bud went to 54, how many of them would go after the belt? If Bud went to 54, how many of them would go after the belt? If you're talking about how many people in the welterweight division, I'm pretty sure it would be plenty. You know what I'm saying? Plenty that would be looking to get on board and fight for that WBO title. Real talk. Plenty, y'all. Plenty, plenty, plenty. Is that an exciting thought right there? Forethought? Yes. Bud, you know, he has a whole landscape to attend to right now, 147. But him going up to 154, man, that would be great. If he picked the right champion like Canelo Alvarez does, why can't Bud do it? Bud pick the right champion, get that fight at 154, become a 4 division champion. He say he's trying to be a legend. He want to be considered a legend. So going up to 154, and not only that, just imagine if Bud Crawford unifies the welterweight division. Y'all mouth will be shut. It ain't shit you can say about him. If Bud Crawford goes in there and unify the welterweight division and then moves up, even if he goes and moves up and is unsuccessful at that division, still, him unifying 140 and 147 is a feat in itself. Seriously. So you gotta give him props, man, on that shit. But the good point there, Don Dada. Real talk. You know, it'd be good to see some of these people step up. I'm not gonna mention no names, but it'd be good if, you know, once this welterweight, I hope that shit don't keep on brewing for several months down the road into 2021 and we ain't seeing shit pop. Like, no, we got the players. We got the players. We have the board already. What's going to happen, man? We don't want to hear promotion and promotion. We've seen Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, top-ranked PBC put on a damn good card. Now we need to see the welterweight division get included. We need to see the welterweight get included, man. We've seen the heavyweight. Let's see the welterweight division. Let's make it happen. If we can make Terrence Crawford, Manny Pacquiao, let's do that. You know, Errol Spence coming back, fighting whoever he's gonna fight, and then on the you know, before that or after that, Terrence Crawford fighting who he's gonna, you know, not too far apart. Both of them get that. Both of them have 2 titles, and then line up for a unification for undisputed. That'll be a perfect equation to everything. If that is to happen, that'll be perfect. So we'll see how that happens. You know, that plays out. Real talk. But hopefully everybody, I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to, you know, hear anything from Devin Haney. I did reach out to him. You know what I'm saying? I did reach out to him. And I haven't heard anything back, of course. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'll be reaching out to these people. Be like, hey, World Combat Sports would definitely request an interview with you. Since we are in downtime, you know, I would just like for you to respectfully respond to my request. And that's all it takes, people. That's it. I do want to give a shout out again to David McWaters, man. McWater, thanks for dropping in for the interview and give me that privilege. I am making calls behind the scene, and hopefully I'm able to get some other fighters on here, especially during this moment when they're not deep in training camp. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's no response right now. Yeah, in closing, I want to touch bases on the Layla Ali and Carissa Shields. Like I said before, if you really wanted to get this Devin Haney attention, it would have been good to have Layla Ali and Carissa Shields talk at the MGM Grand. It would have been the perfect time to leave on that note with boxing, because that is the last big fight. It was so many people out there, and that would have been a perfect time for both of them to be on the platform, eye to eye, talking with Stephen A. Smith and all, you know, Max Kellerman and all them, and get it out there in the open. But now, in my opinion, it's turning a bit girlish to me a little bit. And I'm not calling grown women girls, right? I'm just saying the environment for which they're communicating. This is what I'm saying. You know, Carissa Shields, she was on video and she was reading off the text. And then you got Layla Lee. Layla Lee is saying what she was saying on interviews. She just did a recent interview with WBC President Mauricio Suleiman, and his wife was on there, and then another person. And you know, she was giving her side of the story, the money, the same thing she said when she was out in Vegas at the MGM Grand. The money has to be right. She has businesses. She's in shape, but she's not in fight shape. It's going to take a lot of money. You know, the same thing we heard. The same thing we heard from both sides. Listen, right now, it's been remediated, and we're kind of exhausted. So now, if the fight is going to happen, we need for it to come to some type of median that proves or that confirms that this fight may indeed take place. Because we're looking at a year out. And Layla Ali being 42 years old, she's not getting any younger. But she feels she can, if she's able to get the amount of zeros that she's looking for, then she will indeed put a pause or allow some, you know, whoever is going to take over her business when she's in training camp and starting to get in shape and all this other stuff, because it's indeed one of those situations where it's going to basically take up the clock. It's going to be time consuming, people, for her to get her body, go through the soreness. I mean, everything that goes on, get the massages, get herself back in coordination and rhythm. It's going to take a lot. Drop weight. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take a lot for Layla Ali to get her body back in rhythm. But what I'm trying to say is, you all should have met at ESPN. Now it's getting a little bit gossipy, a little bit, the back and forth. Not to take anything away from either woman as far as their fighting skills, but that would have set the tone, especially during this pandemic, for people to really consistently talk about the video of Layla Ali and Carissa Shields finally meeting up in Vegas on the set of ESPN and getting this out the way. All the trash talk, all the back and forth verbal barge between them, talk about it right now. That's what we want to hear. Face to face, Layla Ali, Carissa Shields, neither female are short on words. So that would have been perfect, y'all. That shit would have been perfect. You know you ain't gonna shut Carissa up, and you know you ain't gonna shut Layla Ali up. So them two talking on ESPN to try to make this fight may have piqued the interest of some investors and some people that could have put the money up and say, you know what? This might be a big fucking deal. Let's try to be a part of this. Let's try to work together and see can we make this shit happen. Because a lot of people, you know, people who's going to invest money, they're going to take on social media. They're going to goddamn do the analytics. They're going to see how many people tuning in, how active, what is the insights. They're going to look at the insights and see who's tuning in and say, well, I think we can make some money off this shit. Because investors, for them to do that on women's boxing, it has to be two top names like that. And those two individuals are top fighters. Layla Ali is undefeated. Carissa Shields is undefeated. Double gold standing and everything else. The fastest to be a 3 division. There's a lot of body of work. I mean, there's a lot of respect between them two when it comes to their resume and body of work. So it would have been great to see all this play out in front of the camera on fight week of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. So people could have been talking about that to the lead up of Wilder Fury. It would have worked out perfectly. Superb. But people, you know what it is. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for tuning in as always. You know, do me a favor and share the video. Pass the word. I definitely need more subscribers. It's always growth. Growth, 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 people. That's what it's all about, growing these channels. Hard work and dedication. Floyd Mayweather, hard work and dedication, man. That's all I'm saying. So shout out to Perky Don Dollar that was in the building, Lawrence Williams, Michelle that dropped through, Ryan Thomas. Who else dropped through up there? And Miguel. Appreciate all y'all stopping through on the live chat today. And I'm tuning in to World Combat Sports. Until next time, man, I definitely want to touch bases on something that should have went down tonight. But I just, I'm just trying. It's hard for me not to blend in boxing and mixed martial arts, right? Seriously, it's hard for me not to. But tonight was supposed to be UFC 249 tonight. All right. We should have been watching a stacked fight card with the main event being Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov. It was canceled because supposedly the governor of California called up Disney and say, we don't want this fight to happen. We still got stuff that we need to take care of. Right? So they shut it down. They say, Dana, fall back. But look what's going on right now. They just shut down this fight not too long ago, last week, right? But now we getting word from the higher ups that they're talking about lifting some of the bans. We're seeing Florida lift the bans and people are back on the beaches, y'all. No social distancing. None of that shit, y'all. I get the impression we don't care. I get the impression people aren't disciplined enough. U.S. citizens aren't disciplined enough. You have in other foreign countries beating the shit out of their citizens just because they're not abiding by the stay-at-home policy, the stay in place, right? But we have people protesting people. We have people in San Diego protesting. They want the shit lifted. So if you want the thing lifted and the virus have not subsided yet, what's going to happen when we have another outbreak and they really enforce like they're doing over in NYC, like they handing out tickets, $500,000, and they forcing people to stay in and you can't go to a restaurant unless you have a mask, and it's really, really strict curfew. It's not for me to understand, but I'm just saying. For what I'm hearing, the president is basically saying, what? We want to lift. We want to lift by May. We want to kind of lift some of these restrictions, some of these bans. Are we ready to lift? Have anybody received results back? Is the pandemic over? How are we going to sit up here and put the public back into a global pandemic without the virus being tested, without having the proper adequate resources to do so, without the numbers to prove that the pandemic regionally has lowered and we're in a good place right now? None of that has been tested, but yet we're about to lift bans just because businesses are going under. And we all know what that affect. We all know about that business. We all know who's losing money up there at the White House. We know that. We have small businesses out here, big business, everybody losing money. But you know what I'm hearing from people? Man, you know what? A lot of people hate Trump, but you got to show appreciation because we got our stimulus checks. We got our stimulus checks, right? That's what people are saying. And then they turn around, is something else is out that, unemployment is being increased. And then potentially they may be providing another package that provides family with $2,000, right? And also they're talking something about the mortgage relief for 12 months. Look, if that is able to be passed and people are blessed with $2,000 a month, right? Hear me out. If people are blessed with $2,000 a month and also some relief on your mortgage, then to caveat to the back end of that, they're going to provide money to the mortgage companies to be compensated for their losses for those who aren't paying, right? If indeed that is the fact, y'all, it's going to be hard, very, very difficult that this president isn't reelected. It's going to be absolutely no stone unturned when it comes to the voting ballots. That people are going to look back in such a bad, dark pandemic where people was freaking family starving, money was low, jobs taken, people losing jobs that they've been on for like 10 or 15 years. They have people losing vehicles. Anything negative you can imagine, right? If indeed he's able to provide this relief of $2,000 a month, and then say that the mortgage is going to be retroactive back to March for those to be reimbursed. If you paid your mortgage in March, you're going to be reimbursed for that mortgage payment. And if you made one in April, do you know how difficult it's going to be for Donald Trump not to be reelected? Are y'all thinking about that? Because we're in dire straits right now. We're in dire freaking straits in a pandemic where it's affecting everybody globally, especially in the US. It's forcing people to experience something they never thought they would have to in their lifetime, from the older generation to the young generation. So if he is able to pass this mortgage relief and the $2,000 a month and plus increase unemployment, you're basically feeding a general public that was thirsty, that was damn near about to die, that was on their last leg, man. You about to revive them. You about to resuscitate the economy right before election. When people say it couldn't happen, I can tell you this, it's people that's received a stimulus check. And for some people, just receiving a stimulus check alone is enough for them to vote for him again on re-election. I'm telling you, there's people talking like that. Hey, man, you know, Trump, all right, man. I got my stimulus check, man. And I was flat as broke, you know. I had to run up to Popeyes and get me goddamn a chicken sandwich and some fries and some sweet tea. You know, you got people talking like that. I took my entire family out to eat. Even though you couldn't sit in the restaurant, we just went up there and ordered. And instead of us driving home, we just ate there in the parking lot because we was just happy to have some normalcy. Shout out to Line Killer in the building, man. Salute to you. You know, that's what people are looking at. Like, they're saying to themselves, hey, this man got us a stimulus check. This man increased the unemployment. He all right. That's where we at right now. And it's going to be difficult not to get him back in office. It's going to be difficult. If you think Joe Biden is going to trump that, you're sadly mistaken. That shit ain't popping. Y'all might as well get ready and buckle up. I'm telling you, if that shit comes down the pipe and approved, and people start seeing an extra $2,000 and being able to not pay their mortgage for freaking 12, what are y'all? What are we talking? You're not paying your mortgage for 12 months? Do you know how high some of these people's mortgage is right now? Just say your mortgage is $2,500. Come on, man. Do the math. People not having to pay their mortgage, man. Shit. Y'all do the math, man. But anyway, I said I was out. Brandon said Trump 2020. Man, I'm telling you, Trump making big moves, man. Jay West came in with the hard nose comment, straight to the point, with a flaming arrow tip, straight to the soul. He said, people actually work for a living. Yes, open the effing government. Hey, man, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it, man. I'm not going against that, man. And last but not least, Perkins say UFC May 9th. We don't know if that's going to happen. You know, Florida has to go through some situations or whatever. And that island that Dana White is talking about, I chose not to talk about what I said I was going to mention yesterday, but I will talk about that sooner or later when it's MMA. But I just wanted to really touch on the Devin Haney situation today. Yeah, we're wrong. It was wrong, but yet I'm not saying it's racist. It was out of line, poor judgment. Okay, but guarantee if it was the other way around, it would have been hard consequences, repercussions, loss of sponsorship. Something would have happened. So, everybody, be sure to turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Appreciate everyone's salute for tuning in. Continue to support the channel. And until next time.